Part 41. Exploring the World, starting from the discovery of the White Bone Dragon Pond. Author, Xuanhuan Pian Hai. Chapter 401. Yashi calmly accepted the system's praise for him. It's not important. The important thing is that his dream powers are finally gathered together. The dream power sealed by Buddhism is the only dream power left. Yashi was very excited and curious about what would happen if all the powers were unified. These colorful bubbles are the expression of dream power. Don't be too surprised. It has no impact on you. This authority is biased in the positive direction. It will not cause you to undergo the kind of horrific mutation like before. Even if it does, it will only be positive. Mutations. Yashi felt that his words were very comforting. As a result, a different style of painting appeared on the barrage. What kind of comfort are you doing, so it will still mutate, right? Yashen, before you comforted me, I wasn't scared, you know, but after you comforted me, I started to be crazy scared. What does positive variation mean? Becoming something out of a fairy tale. So I'm going to turn into a colorful pony, right? Let's take a look. I don't know if it's my imagination. Why do I feel like I'm really going to turn into a colorful pony? Generally speaking, if you ask whether it is an illusion, it is not an illusion. I am God, dream power. Just think about it. I wonder if someone's room will become a cake room. No, do you know how expensive the house price is? I will live if it becomes a cake house. Sure enough, people can only make money within their own cognition. You can be merciless just by charging ticket money, don't you know? Yashi. You think too much. The distance here is too far. Even if you want a cake shop, you don't have one. Most of the changes shouldn't last long, so don't worry. Except for some particularly unlucky ones. Yashi added a little more explanation. He rushed outside. As the distance keeps getting closer, the appearance of the dragon and snake from outside gradually appeared in front of Yashi. At this time, the audience suddenly began to thank those colorful bubbles, otherwise they must be going crazy now, or on the way to go crazy. Yashi saw the sky-reaching dragon and snake. All I can say is, this snake lives up to its name, and it does. The distant mountains are like dark green, hidden behind dreamy clouds. A huge existence that cannot be described as a snake or a dragon has coiled up the entire dimension. His head fell at the beginning of the dimension, and his tail fell at the end of the tail. The tail penetrated the dimension and entangled with his head. The color of his whole body is an earthy yellow, but when you look closely, you find that it is a transparent color, as transparent as the most beautiful work of art in the universe. Within the transparent body, there is nothing but flowing energy. These energies are mixed with colorful colors, but even more are still transparent. Heavy pressure came from every scale on his body. Yashi felt a kind of life from the beginning of heaven and earth, the beginning of the universe, surrounding here. The power of the beginning of life burst out from him, and then derived this dimension. The huge dragon snake's body is wrapped around the outside of the dimension. But the beings in this dimension are not his people, but the dragons in Buddhism. This makes everyone who sees this dragon snake feel sad for it. Colorful bubbles float in front of the camera. But the great existence behind can still be seen. This made those who watched the live broadcast couldn't help but exclaim in exclamation. When I saw the comparison between Yashi's body shape and his, this exclamation became more and more profound. What a nice view. It's so beautiful, this is simply the embodiment of great beauty. Is this the true nature of dragon and snake? How is he more beautiful than the dreamy tail? Anonymous, no, this is not the true form of the dragon and snake, but a part of the true form. His body is also infected by dreams, but it is also incomparably beautiful. This existence itself is a kind of beauty. Of course, you mortals don't understand. Hum off your thunder, stop posting barrages here. If this is the case, then is every high-dimensional life beautiful? Of course, but most people can't appreciate this kind of beauty. Just seeing this kind of beauty will make a sound, it's gone. Yashi was standing about 7 inches away from Long Snake. He didn't choose this good place on purpose. It's just like this when flying up. And standing here. The control room that can already see the entire dimension. That is the place the pangolin mentioned, 7 inches away from the dragon and the snake. When everyone's eyes were admiring this extremely beautiful dragon snake, Yashi withdrew his gaze, and then looked at the 7-inch land. The feeling of Buddha in that 7-inch area is so strong and cannot be ignored, just like a drop of ink suddenly dropped on a beautiful scroll, which makes people extremely uncomfortable. But this drop of ink makes people ignore it involuntarily. For example, in the current live broadcast room, there are only a few people who can notice this ink dot. Those are the traces of my Buddha. A Buddhist monk looked at the live broadcast room, silently closed his eyes and began to chant sutras. There are many people who do something similar to him. These lives are in different worlds, and they all feel the attraction of Buddha, as if the real Buddha is right in front of them. This is of course not referring to Yashi. Yashi was very lucky at this time. Fortunately, he felt that there was nothing worth taking away from this dimension, so he did not listen to the pangolin's opinion. Otherwise, he should have played his trump card. He didn't know if he could pass. Because the Buddha who lives in that 7-inch place is the Buddha of the past. Although it is an incarnation, his original body is already very strong at that time, and he can come to the place of this incarnation at any time. If Yashi really can't let it go and think about the past, then the consequences. That pangolin is really a pitfall. It must have been lucky for too long, so it doesn't care about anyone, even the real Buddha of the West dares to provoke. It seems that we can be friends in the future, and forget about other things. When Yashi thought of this, he looked at the huge dragon and snake in front of him again, and slowly said, "Just as we can see. This is the dragon and snake hovering in the entire dimension. But such an existence will still sleep here, which is enough to show how dangerous the world is, how vast and dangerous the universe is, and how cautious we must be when we walk in the starry sea in the future. Don't think that you can do whatever you want just because you are lucky or powerful." Yashi felt scared when he thought that he was almost pitted by the pangolin. So when everyone was admiring the dragon and snake, he suddenly said something that didn't fit the current atmosphere. Exploring the world, starting from the discovery of the white-boned dragon pond. Author, Wo Yu Pian Hai. Chapter 402. Yeah, are you allergic to beautiful things? Don't worry about this, because we are not as capable as you and can go to so many places to explore. I am useless and I am proud. If you are worried that I will be defrauded of money, don't worry, because I have no money. If you are worried that I will go to alien planets or other dimensions to explore, don't worry, because I don't have the strength. Okay, what other questions do you need to ask, of? Stand, applause, me too. Yashi himself felt something in his heart, so he said these words during the live broadcast. But what these people said was true, so he didn't force them to go to other dimensions and practice his views. Now that dragon snake has finished reading, this journey to find the dragon has reached an iconic ending today. It's just not quite what I imagined. Forget it, let's go to other dimensions or worlds to see if we can find the real dragon. It's really strange. I don't know why this happens and why it's so difficult to find traces of the dragon. I always feel like there might be some very strange mystery in it. But this kind of mystery cannot be revealed this time. But who can say for sure about fate? Yashi smiled slightly. He reached out and took out a camera, and took a photo of himself and Long Snake. It can be regarded as proof that I have traveled here. Yashi posted this picture and said to the camera. Fortunately, Lao Ye didn't take out a knife and carve words on the dragon and snake, otherwise Otherwise the world will be beaten into darkness and then completely reshaped, and then we will be together. Anonymous, how is that possible? If you want to die, you will die first. It's difficult for me to die even if I want to die now. When you are near the dragon and snake, the strong assimilation pressure is reduced a lot. Although it is still there, yes, she no longer has to rely on the power and dimensions of the world to fight. But if you go down, it will still be like this. This time. Yes, she was prepared, fearing that this dimension would increase the power against him. Fortunately, as long as the same thing happened once, it won't happen a second time. Yes, she went down and took out the pangolin and all its treasures. He just left the dragon dimension quickly. Because it was requested by the pangolin himself, yes, she gave it a seal that would be impossible to break unless he himself broke it. As for those other beings, of course they were thrown outside the dragon dimension and found their own planets. After Yeshi came out, he was not in a hurry to wake up the pangolin. Instead, he diverted all his energy into his own world. He walked up to Tiangong with the pangolin in hand, flicked the pangolin. Study what's going on with this Duobeo demon. This approach can only make people walk a single 6. As for what the pangolin thinks, yes, she doesn't care, since it won't know anyway, right? Besides, he helped transport the pangolins out. Didn't he need to charge a handling fee? Yes, she placed a pile of ores, elixirs, and immortal plants that exuded spiritual energy and fairy energy on a small island that he had just created. From then on, there are 2 islands in his world, one of which is a fairy island. How did you catch this pangolin? In my long life, this is the first time I have seen a pangolin with such good luck. Even in the heaven, there are few people with more prosperous luck than it. It stands to reason that such a beloved beast of heaven and earth will not be caught. Yeshi spread his hands. It's not a capture, it asked me to seal it on its own. Can you tell what kind of heel it is? Is it related to heaven? Tiangong looked at the pangolin for a long time, and finally looked up at Yeshi. He didn't know what he was thinking, but finally he answered Yeshi's question. Not everything in the world is related to heaven, but this pangolin is related to heaven. But I'm not one of those gods or immortals who can open the eyes of the sky, and I can't observe luck, so when you say this, I don't know how I should answer. But it has something to do with heaven. Except for heaven, there will never be an existence with such a prosperous destiny. No one can have such a fate. If it's an ordinary beast or person with such luck, maybe you can compare with this pangolin and see if you can beat it in terms of luck alone. However, the pangolin's luck manifests outwardly. Anyone with a pair of eyes can see its extraordinary features. But as you say, your luck is introverted and unfathomable. I can only get a glimpse of it. It's deeper, but I can't even see it. Yeshi watched Tiangong talk more and more excitedly, and finally turned the topic to himself. He suddenly felt something was wrong. Good guy, now he wants to study this pangolin. But Tiangong wants to study him. Wait a minute, I'm asking you about the pangolins. As for what happened to me, just leave it alone. Tiangong put down the hammer in his hand. I told you, I can't see it, but it does have something to do with heaven. It may be a pet or mount raised by someone's heaven, but like this, I have been in heaven for so long, but I have never heard it arrive. And even if it's a mount or pet of the heavenly Lord, it can't carry such a strong luck. Yeshi's brows twitched. Sometimes he really didn't want to explain things so clearly. So, why didn't the heavenly Lord in front of him understand? The system reminded him. I'm asking you, what's the relationship between this pangolin and Duobeo Tianjun and Duobeo Rock? When he said this, it was like a flash of lightning, a revelation. Yes, you're right, this is indeed related to Duobeo Tianjun. Although the heavenly court has fallen, it's impossible for these big figures in the immortal court to die. I said a pangolin, an ordinary pangolin, How could it have such a huge and incredible luck, and a precious light that would blind my eyes? So that's how it is, so that's how it is. Immortal. If you can find out the news of Duo Bao Tianjun with this pangolin, you will definitely be able to be listed in the immortal class in the future, and you may even be able to peek into those divine positions. Yeshi. If he can find out the news of Duo Bao Tianjun through the pangolin, does he need to ask Tiangong? He now fully suspects that this Tiangong has gone crazy. Otherwise he would not ignore his hints every time, and then gallop towards another road. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Exploring the world, starting from the discovery of the white-bone dragon pond. Author, Wo Yu Pian Hai. Chapter 403. Yeshi took a deep breath, then exhaled, and then stared at the legendary Tiangong Dao. Yes, I asked you to find out the news about Duo Bao Tianjun through this pangolin. Do you have to let me speak so clearly? So you understand now? Tiangong nodded suddenly. Then I looked at the pangolin lying like a corpse and had no idea what to do. If I was asked to do research, I might mutilate a little bit of the pangolin's body, but generally it would be fine. I would just take out a few scales. By the way, I still need your help, Immortal, to get some of the treasure and luck from it, so that I can see if I can find the Heavenly Lord. Yeshi made a 0k gesture and waved his hand, and wisps of treasure and luck appeared in his hand like entities. Tiangong still thinks that Yeshi is an immortal, although this is indeed true. But what he thought was, Yeshi was the kind of immortal who could orthodoxly cultivate immortality. He had not yet thought that Yeshi not only had the identity of an immortal part-time, but was also the enemy of heaven. According to the fatal attraction that heaven has for every immortal, he would only think that Yeshi's approach of searching for heaven was a pilgrimage, rather than any other harmful idea. Certainly, Yeshi really didn't have any harmful ideas, he was just interested in solving all the mysteries in the world. Tongzi, do you think this heavenly work is reliable? Ding, in terms of business ability, this Tiangong is already an existence with extremely outstanding business ability in heaven. It is precisely because of this that he was able to survive after heaven fell. But judging from personal qualities, it may be a little unreliable, but these systems will help the host solve the problem. Yeshi nodded. Remember to deal with that pangolin, by the way. You still have to tell it these things when it wakes up. Ding, the system has never seen a kind-hearted person like you, the host. Yeshi didn't agree with the system's words. I have always been a person who treats people with sincerity. When I go out, the most important thing is to be honest. When his consciousness came back, the live broadcast is still going on. However, many viewers watching the live broadcast did not know that the anchor in front of them had already allocated a soul to do other things. Because Yeshi adjusted the flow rate of time again. So soon, Tiangong's experiment was completed. I just took a little luck, treasure energy, and a piece of scale to find the Duo Bao Tianjun, but it didn't do much harm to the pangolin. Just as it happened, Yeshi had now left the space between dimensions and landed in the universe. It is now about 180,000 light-years away from the solar system. Yeshi also deliberately did not fall on Blue Star, but came to such a place that was out of reach. He's not interesting. He just wanted to see. After I have done these things and told the pangolin, what will the other party think? Yeshikan felt something was wrong when he saw the prison in the dragon's dimension. But after he went in and saw the pangolin, the something wrong in his heart was about to overflow. Of course, this is for no other reason. It lies in the simple mismatch of virtue. He had practiced for so long and understood some principles about luck. When he saw the pangolin for the first time, he felt it was outrageous. Because there is nothing special about this pangolin except luck. How is this possible? The more subtle this is, the more you can see the true meaning. After chatting with the other party, Yeshi became more and more sure of this. He asked Tiangong to do it. The first is to find the Duobao Tianjun, and then to find the reason for the fall of the heaven. The second, of course, is to press the pangolin to see if there are really any different characters hidden in it, such as Tianjun or something like that. Yeshi lifted the seal. Then he looked at the pangolin in front of him with a smile. He waited to see if the pangolin could find something missing from it. A minute passed. The other party found nothing. So Yeshi told what happened to it. It can be seen with the naked eye that the other party's attitude is getting worse and worse, and he is getting more and more angry. In the end, he wants to pull out a knife and teach Yeshi a lesson. Of course it had already drawn the knife, but it didn't cut it down in the end. He just looked at Yeshi angrily. It's a shame I still consider you a friend. Forget the rest, I have so much luck that it doesn't matter if you take it away. As for any treasures, it's okay, but why do you want to take off one of my beautiful scales? These are the beautiful scales that I have worked hard to maintain. Do you know how big a mistake you made? I'm so mad, I'm so mad, I'm so mad. How could you do this to me? Are we still friends? At the end of the sentence, it suddenly put away the knife and looked at Yeshi with a serious expression. Yeshi. The temptation failed. 2 attempts failed. It is impossible for Duobao Tianjun to endure such humiliation, let alone run over after being humiliated. Okay. The temptation ultimately failed. It's hard to believe. Yeshi really found it hard to believe that this pangolin was just a simple pangolin. He originally thought that Duobao Tianjun deliberately shrank on such an ordinary pangolin, so it was so exciting. However, since that was the case, Yeshi just kept his doubts in his heart and did not continue to investigate. Of course it is. This place is not far from my home planet, right? If you want, you can go to my home planet with me. Yeshi invited the pangolin. It was really just a polite invitation. Who knew that the other party really agreed? Okay, but what does your home planet look like? Tongzi, why do I feel like I'm bullying a poor little thing, but my intuition tells me that it's Duobao. Ding, the other party is really pitiful. I took a look and found that he has no friends since he was a child. Because of his good luck, he has always been rubbed and then turned against. People with good luck will be willing to be friends with you, but people with too good luck will not be willing to be friends with you. This pangolin, from the environment it grew up in, is indeed a complete loner. The host looks at all living things with such equal eyes, and treats all living things with the same attitude, so after the pangolin saw you, it really regarded you as its friend. You hurt the heart of a sincere friend of yours. Yeshi. When you go to Blue Star, take it to eat a few more hot pots. There is nothing that can't be solved by a hot pot. If there is, then 2 meals. Ding, the system reminds you that it is still possible that you think the pangolin is Duobao Tianjun. Please act with caution. Exploring the world, starting from the discovery of the white bone dragon pond. Author, Wo Yi Pian Hai. Chapter 404. Chapter 404, Light Path. Yeshi waved his hand, not needing this insincere and extremely hindsight reminder. After confirming that there is no danger, he just led the pangolin to Blue Star. Otherwise, he is really afraid that if the Duobao Tianjun appears, many people will die like this. Yeshi reopened the live broadcast that blocked the black screen. It actually surprised many people. What did Yeshi do before? And there was a series of guesses. These guesses are then directly banned by Kraken for a few hours to a few days. At the beginning, when Yeshi appointed Kraken as the administrator of the live broadcast, he was still a little worried whether the other party would be angry at these viewers. Unexpectedly, the other party accepted it well and managed it while crying. She was probably crying, not the sea water. Yeshi was also a little confused about this. And now, the management is very good, so Yeshi doesn't have to worry at all. So he planned to reward Kraken by becoming aware of his world's rewards. Something unexpected happened. He thought Kraken was managing the live broadcast room alone, but it turned out that many dog-headed strategists were invited, and even the bronze divine vine stretched out a long part and came over to point. Usually these pictures have never been seen by Yeshi. Probably because as long as he comes, these things will return to their respective places. This time I came quietly, originally wanting to give the other party a surprise, but it turned out that these little things I raised gave me a surprise. After taking a few glances, Yeshi silently stepped back and disappeared like a trace of autumn water. The lives in these worlds did not notice that the master of the world had come here at all. Nothing happened, I didn't see anything. Okay, it's over. Yeshi's entire consciousness returned to his body. Then I felt what happened to my body. What? Why did you suddenly disappear? The relationship between these two is so good. What did you do secretly behind our backs? Tell us quickly. Nothing happened, don't misunderstand anything. Why do we suddenly put our arms around each other and call each other good brothers? Isn't this wrong? This doesn't look like our Yeshen. No, this is still our Yeshen, you know. After watching the live broadcast for so long, I have never seen him have anything to do with humans. They all have something to do with non-human beings. This moment is just like that moment. You guys, you understand? If you understand, don't ask me to say more. External control of man's ecstasy. It is recommended that you look up and watch the live broadcast before saying this. Be careful of being banned, it seems very likely. Yeshi looked at the pangolin who was trying hard to put his short hands on his shoulders. His thoughts are like this. Yeshi pretended not to see anything and walked towards the distant solar system. Then he pointed at the blue planet and said, "That's my home planet." The pangolin nodded. "It looks so beautiful. It is indeed a planet that can grow an explorer like you. It is only a little bit worse than my home planet. It's a pity that my home planet is gone. Otherwise I would also like to invite you." What a home planet killer. In case anyone doesn't understand, I'm talking about Yeshen. It feels like the atmosphere has suddenly become philosophical. What do you think? Yeshi glanced at the pangolin and silently moved away from it. Then when one person and one pangolin were about to land on Blue Star, a light path leading to the sky spreads out rapidly from a distance, and the final end is the Blue Star. This is the ancient road in the starry sky. When Yeshi's voice sounded along the live broadcast room. At the same time, many people on Blue Star also looked up at the sky. The vast light almost covers the entire sky. Because of this light path leading to the sky, all the 5 color altars on the Blue Star lit up, and the originally silent Blue Star suddenly became extremely lively. Oh my God, what is that in the sky? Come on, look, what on earth is that? This light is so familiar, I seem to have seen, damn it, this is the ancient road in the starry sky. This voice was almost in tandem with Yeshi's, leaving many people speechless. What happened? I started to get scared. You are scared every day, but I started to be scared too. Today is our Blue Star market going to open again? Market, the expressway is about to open, right? Yeshi looked at these ancient roads in the starry sky. Each light path extends to a very far distance, but each light path from different sources finally converges on the Blue Star. At the same time, while others looked up at the changes in the world, and the drastic changes Yeshi felt were even more intense, so intense that the entire universe and even all the worlds couldn't help but look up and look into the unknown distance. Heaven, stand up! An extremely loud sound spread throughout the universe, and all the ancient roads in the starry sky were lit up. The entire universe turned into beautiful galaxies. Nice guy. When Yeshi heard this voice, his eyes were almost shocked. What exactly happened? Why did heaven suddenly stand up? What is this sound? Endless and magnificent ancient roads in the starry sky are spread across every corner like spider webs. Even the most remote edges of the universe have the power of light. And these are all done by the heaven that is still hanging in the sky. Among these intertwined light paths, it still has the shadow of a large blockbuster. These shadows squirmed very quickly, swallowing up large areas, and the civilizations and planets in these areas also turned dark from their originally lit state. All these places are condensed into dark abyss. But at the bottom of the abyss is boundless weird life. The endless abyss overlaps one another, and each layer contains many powerful beings. Although most of these beings have been imprisoned or killed by the heaven. But when a long time passes, everything begins to wake up and come to life again. The heaven and the earth are formed, lived, and broken, and of course life also has aging, sickness, death, and birth. They are all reincarnating. Mortal reincarnations do not have their own consciousness, but more powerful life reincarnations may wake up and understand their previous lives. Just as those beings in heaven never die. The life in the abyss has not disappeared from this world. Every bit of light extinguished will bring about the rise of an abyss. Although Yeshi was not powerful enough to be extraordinary in the universe at this time. But his spiritual awareness has far surpassed that of living beings like him. So, he immediately noticed the struggle between heaven and abyss. And since this kind of competition is spread throughout the universe, then his solar system will not be an exception. At this time, Yeshi really wanted to go and see how the heavenly court was established. But in less than a second, he immediately dragged the pangolin out of the sun. The sun's light is still so warm. Many of the sunspots have disappeared, and it seems that the entire sun has entered a positive cycle, and everything is thriving. But the moment Yeshi dragged the pangolin down, the whole sun soared a few degrees darker. It even looked like the sun was beginning to blink. But this kind of blinking is undoubtedly devastating to ordinary life on the planet. On the blue star, many people or families who were playing outside were looking at the white light in the sky, but in the blink of an eye, the whole world suddenly turned dark. And this darkness, the sky never recovered. The entire sun's brilliance was weakened by 2 levels. Faced with this strange and unsettling sight, many people ran back to their homes in fear. Then they quickly contacted their family members at home, and some even called the authorities to inquire. More people go online to see what netizens think about this matter, and the platform that is most frequently logged into is the system construction platform. Even though other internet platforms have been destroyed many times. But Yeshi's platform was still extremely smooth, and it seemed that even if 10 more intelligent beings from the world poured out, it would not have any impact. At the same time, the real-time number of people in Yeshi's live broadcast room is also increasing. Although it is not that kind of skyrocketing, it can be seen that the universe is in chaos everywhere. Even the dragon dimension that we just left has a lot of fresh pythons connected to it. Brother, what happened? What happened to the sun? What happened to those ancient roads in the starry sky? I seem to have heard some news about the coming of heaven. Did I hear it wrong? You heard that right, everyone heard it. This is really a big change that has not happened in hundreds of millions of years. After Yeshi saw that the sun was only a little darker, he relaxed a little. Then he carried the pangolin and walked into the interior of the sun. Indeed, a big change has come. But I don't know much now. Let me see if anything happens here on Sunstar, and then I'll see if I need to get the place where the sound came from. Everyone should know what is in this sun, right? Heaven and the abyss have always been mortal enemies. Now that heaven has awakened, the abyss can no longer be peaceful. There is an entrance to the abyss inside the sun. It seems that the prison has suppressed it. Otherwise, if the abyss really spreads, the consequences will be disastrous. Yeshi stretched out his hand and brought out countless flames. These flames are the fallen star flames raised in his world. These simple purifying flames could not bring obvious changes to his world in an instant, but over time, they slowly purified the world. Let his world not be complicated and cumbersome due to multiple energies. And when these flames, which were originally used to purify the abyss, were put into the sun, invisible to the naked eye. But Yeshi did notice that the fallen star flames had a positive impact on the sun. He didn't hesitate and sent most of the flames directly to the sun. As expected, the sun's rays regained their former brightness. But this approach only has a momentary effect. Yeshi still did not put down the pangolin, but dragged the pangolin continuously through the sun, and finally came to the prison. This prison is different from what Yeshi saw when he first came. There are no longer those twisted and indescribable existences that would make people lose their minds at the first glance. It is a building full of history and power. On the outer edge of the building, those high-tech technologies also began to operate slowly. Your home galaxy is so unique. I have never seen a galaxy like this before. The pangolin still doesn't know what happened, but that doesn't stop it from sighing about its condition. For those ancient roads in the starry sky, heaven, and even the abyss. This pangolin seemed indifferent, as if it didn't see it. Yeshi used his permission from the warden to open Zizao prison and walked in. I saw Yongzhu and several other ferocious beasts wandering around. After Yeshi came in, Yongzhu rushed over directly. Master, something big has happened. Over there is a crack in the place where Kunpeng was before. But fortunately we discovered it in time and suppressed the crack, but... Yeshi nodded and asked Yezu to continue speaking. In fact, the moment he walked into the prison, he sensed what was happening here. The pangolin still acted as an auspicious beast, as well as the possible existence of the Duo Bao Tianjun, and was carried all the way by Yeshi. During this time, although the live broadcast room was always open, Yeshi didn't even take a look. Although the beings in other worlds in the live broadcast room were also very anxious, they also knew that it was useless to be anxious. Instead, they paid attention to Yeshi's actions to see if they could learn something. Yeshi came to the area that was controlled by several prison inmates working together. Just at first glance, his eyes narrowed involuntarily. The situation here is more serious than he imagined. And the reason for being able to control it so well. Yeshi glanced at Yezu with an unclear meaning. It seems that this guy has gained a lot of benefits in his world. In the live broadcast room, the black void transforms into various forms of monsters from time to time, sometimes in human form, sometimes in animal form, sometimes in machine form, sometimes just flowers and trees. However, no matter which race they belong to, their bodies all mutate in the same direction. Various deformed monsters appear in front of everyone, making some people retching while yearning for them. It is indeed an abyss. I testify that I rarely encounter this nauseous and wanting to get closer every time I have this symptom. It is all because of the abyss. Yeshi lowered his head and looked at the crooked cracks. The crack was not a circle like before, but like a wriggling snake. Bang! Yeshi reached out and held the Kingian divine sword that had not appeared for a long time. He looked at everything in front of him with a solemn expression. No, don't do it. There is something down here waiting for you to take action. Just when Yeshi was holding the divine sword and considering how to take action, the pangolin said these words with confusion in his eyes. Yeshi couldn't help but look over. But after seeing the other person say this, he returned to normal, as if nothing had happened. He frowned at the pangolin. What happened to you just now? The pangolin was staying by Yeshi's side obediently, but when he suddenly heard these words, he turned around in confusion. Ah! Exploring the world, starting from the discovery of the white-bone dragon pond. Author, Wo Yi Pian Hai. Chapter 405. The previous one has been revised a lot, adding more than 3,000 words. If you find that the plot connection is not smooth, you can go back and read it. Ah! What? The pangolin looked at Yeshi with confused eyes, but unexpectedly met an unusually serious look. Although this serious look quickly dissipated, it still shocked the pangolin at that moment. Are you saying that you also saw me say some inexplicable words suddenly and inexplicably? It's been a long time since this happened. Are I talking about a good thing or a bad thing? If it's a good thing, it's definitely a bad thing. If it's a bad thing, it's definitely a bad thing. This is the inherent talent of our pangolin tribe. Maybe I'm the only one who feels that if I die, I won't care at all if the world is destroyed, so, can I start laughing? Me too. Why hasn't Baidu been bombed yet? Why can't such a big thing affect Baidu? I'll catch some pangolins later to see if they really have this special talent. There is someone below waiting for Brother Ye to take action. Who is it? It can't be the corpse, the one nailed to the bronze pillar. Don't scare me. Anonymous, I don't know what kind of chaos this time will be. Please pay attention. If you can survive, survive. If you can't survive, don't rush to reincarnate, otherwise you may die again. Yes, she heard Pangolin's explanation. Nod if you understand. I understand what you mean. You are really full of treasures. The pangolin felt that this was a compliment to itself, but why did this compliment sound so wrong? It was so frightened that it shivered all over. After Yeshi received the answer, he walked around the suppressed area with his sword in hand. The live broadcast adventure has been going on for so long. Most of the time, I don't need to use all my strength. The things I learned are too complicated, and I almost forget what I know. It's just a good time to use it all. Yeshi discovered. Although the pangolin reminded myself. But he just watched it many times and still didn't see anything. He understood that this existence waiting for opportunities under the abyss might not be so easy to solve. Yeshi blinked, and there seemed to be light flashing in his eyes. Full of energy and light. He closed his fingers and slowly moved across his eyes, as if a seal was being broken by him. The breath of God overwhelms the breath of immortals. Maybe it's this moment. Yeshi truly used his divine power. A power from the highest downwards, capable of transforming all things into dreams, filled his eyes. Let dreams arise and disappear in his eyes all the time. It seems to be disappearing, but in fact it is going to another layer of space, with many overlapping peaks and endless life. Infinite light and all things appeared in his eyes. This power spread from his eyes to his whole body, completely eliminating all the immortal energy from his body. Along with the fingers and joints everywhere on the body, there are extraordinary dreams. The whole body was shrouded in the authority of the dream, and a large group of colorful bubbles was vaguely revealed. All conditioned phenomena are like bubbles in a dream, like dew or lightning. A barefoot monk who unlocked the seal on his body while looking at Ye, and whose body was filled with a dreamy atmosphere, realized everything clearly, closed his eyes, and fell into death. The body also quickly turned into withered bones, and the flesh and blood disappeared inch by inch, leaving only the white bones, and the white bones continued to move forward, as if they were still alive and unaware of their own death, which frightened the people next to them. After taking 3 steps, all the flesh and blood grew out in an instant. And the monk's breathing was slow and even, until finally he opened his eyes. Today you know who I am. He became a Buddha. Yeshi didn't know yet that another monk would become a Buddha watching his live broadcast. But even if he knew it, he wouldn't care. Instead, he looked at the ground with a pair of eyes filled with all colors, like a dream. This time, he saw it really clearly. I saw the infinite malice underneath. The pale giant did not break free from the suppression of the bronze pillar. The chilling murderous intention came from the abyss plane. Plane of the abyss. Yeshi thought of these words in his mind. Thinking of the time he spent in this abyss plane. I didn't expect it to be something like this. Does the abyss also have self-awareness? Yeshi was not sure and planned to take another look. But now that he saw what was hidden and wanted to take action against him, Yeshi also had a way to deal with it. I won't handle this matter the same way again. The sword was put away. Yeshi didn't plan to use immortal means to deal with things here. Only God can deal with God, and only the abyss can deal with the abyss. The 9-color bubble porphyrin comes out. This bubble is completely different from the last one. The last time can only be said to be an external manifestation, just a manifestation of some authority. Yeshi did not endow it with any lethality. But this time, Yeshi placed God's will on the bubbles. Each bubble had huge power and could easily destroy a planet. The light 9-color bubbles floated into the area with a dreamy luster, and then slowly floated into the abyss along the gap. Using the power of God to fight against God. Yeshi showed a smile on his face. He moved his body, and some bubbles turned into various shapes, all of which were figures in dreams, such as some familiar ones, such as Little Red Riding Hood, Snow White, unicorns, etc., which only exist in fantasy. Bending their bodies towards Yeshi, they rushed into the blocked area and the abyss like moths to a flame. Many people felt the same way when they saw this scene. Wow, 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 I can't stop crying. If you can't stop, don't stop, crying loudly. These beautiful lives are willing to rush into the abyss for us. What kind of selfless spirit is this? Unknown, brain supplement is a disease. This is just a manifestation of the host's authority. As long as he is alive, there will be as many products as he wants. As long as the owner of the authority is not dead, they will exist forever. The dream authority is worthy of its name. Even the fight is so dreamy. All the dream apostles transformed by the authority go to fight. The power of this layer of the abyss is just like that, and the degree of resistance is very light. It is not like when Yeshi raised the magic sword before, he wanted to fight to the death. Instead, he was extremely considerate and even wanted to come up and stick to him. The tense atmosphere disappeared at once. When the abyss layer came to stick to him, Yeshi silently smoothed the gap and then placed a shadow of the magic sword on it. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Exploring the world, starting from the discovery of the white bone dragon pond. Author, Xuanhuan Hai. Chapter 406. A phantom of Kingian divine sword is pressed here. As long as there is any abnormal movement here, power will be called from the body of the divine sword and Yeshi will be notified. Yeshi also discovered it. This Zizao prison already has a weak point, and that is the place in front of him. Therefore, this sword is mainly used to suppress this place, and the excess power will suppress the entire Zizao prison. Alright. Yezao's ears are so sensitive, of course it's because he pays great attention to Yeshi. So after hearing this, he quickly ran to Yeshi and looked at Yeshi with admiration. Master, you are so powerful, even the great powers in heaven cannot compare with you. Yeshi nodded calmly. Okay, I know, but don't call me master. Don't bring this kind of old-time title here. Maybe it's like this in heaven, but I can't get used to this kind of title. Please change it. Yangju made a quick decision and knelt at Yeshi's feet. Master, please take your seat. Yeshi. Ha 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 ha, I haven't seen such a licking dog for a long time. Oh no, it's a ferocious beast. Compared with it, even I am slightly inferior. I haven't seen such a well-matched opponent for a long time. It seems that I should lick harder in the future. Don't laugh at it, it licks everything until the end, which is completely different from you. Thank you, I've hurt you again, please don't say that. Yeshi glanced at the pangolin. Do. The pangolin felt that the atmosphere was a bit strange, especially that his body felt a little cold, but he didn't know what was going on, so he nodded. Agreed to Yeshi's invitation. Yeshi was really traumatized now. He just made a routine invitation, so why did the other party agree? This seems a bit unreasonable. Besides, he never likes to sit on the same mount as others. So after the pangolin sat on Dozu's body, Yeshi silently took out his white tiger, the mythical beast. Let's go. This time the air conditioning really turned into murderous intent. Anyway, a pangolin as slow as a pangolin has already felt it. But due to his dullness, he did not feel that the murderous intention came from under his buttocks. Ha 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 ha, let me burst into laughter. By the way, who just said that this Taoist dog belongs to a Tengu? It turns out that he is a dog licker. Bold. Please call him the Four Ferocious Beasts. Ah, poor Taozu, how come he was ridden by a pangolin? Wake up, although your blue star is safe, our other planets are still in dire straits. Come on, help us. Unnamed, it is recommended to wait for death. Kicks the doorframe. Your mouth is really filled with arsenic, right? 8,000 miles never leave a thing. Why does the eldest brother need to talk about the second brother? Yeshi left the prison under Yezu's reluctant eyes. But after emerging from the sun, he did not return to Blue Star. Instead, it turned to another place, leaving the pangolin a little confused. Actually, Yeshi had never thought about not taking this auspicious beast with him when he went to find the voice of heaven is here to stand. Such good luck. He deserves to be his teammate. Yeshi has forgotten. He had said before that he didn't need teammates. Brother, where are you going? Are you here to save us? Tai Shanglajun, accumulate virtue and do good deeds, and God will help you. If it weren't for this ID upstairs, I would have to sigh, but because it is this ID, I plan to do good deeds. Is it so realistic? Me too. Yes, what I want to go to now is to find heaven. I've searched for heaven so many times before but couldn't find it. This time it appears in front of me, but I can't miss it anymore. When Yeshi said this, many of the big guys watching the live broadcast couldn't help but frown. Especially those who have a good impression of Yeshi want to dissuade him. After all, you have such great authority as a god, so you can just run to see heaven so carelessly? Are you serious? Isn't this a sheep rushing into a pack of wolves? My advice here is not to go. Although you should always remain curious about the world, you shouldn't be curious about everything. Curiosity killed the cat. Heaven seems to be incompatible with live broadcast. Heaven and the abyss are in conflict, and in the abyss, what is born is the god. You have the authority of the god, don't you know it yourself? This kind of authority cannot be hidden in the eyes of truly powerful people. Suddenly, many ids that I had never seen before suddenly began to discourage them. And most of the statements are similar. It makes the ordinary viewers in the live broadcast room somewhat different and confused. Yeshi had already collected a list of external access points in the system. Most of the ids that just spoke are on the list of external access. It seems like everyone is a big boss. Yeshi first thanked them for the reminder, and then explained that he had his own plans. Just kept moving forward. Many people watching the live broadcast felt that something was wrong with the atmosphere and quickly started making jokes. It's okay to carry a lucky beast. This was also the case when the abyss was suppressed before. It's a pity that this kind of statement was not recognized by the big bosses, but was scolded in full. Of course, Yeshi didn't dare to watch the excitement in heaven just because of a lucky pangolin. He always puts caution first. That's called caution. Naturally, there is a surefire plan this time, rightward arrow. I asked the system. This system is more reliable than the one next door. In the past, the other party would notify us so far in advance of something as big as Teishu. This is especially true with regard to heaven. Ding, host, please act bravely. Although things in heaven are far from simple this time, host, you are not simple either, are you? Yeshi nodded in agreement. Then he looked at the pangolin riding Taozu next to him, and a knowing smile flashed across his face. He found out. In the dimension of dragons. The most powerful prize I have ever received. Although the system did not give him this prize. But he got it himself. As expected of him. All the ancient roads to the stars in the solar system are normal. But in the Milky Way, it is no longer the case. Yeshi just took a quick glance and saw many dark places. The two are intertwined. It looks like black and white chess pieces fighting on a chessboard. But Yeshi and the pangolin finally reached the destination he thought of reaching. The pangolin really doesn't want to come. It always thought that it had enough freedom of conduct. It turns out that this friend of mine is even more powerful than me. Really fearless. But after all, he is his first friend. The pangolin knows his luck, so he is worried that his friend will die after he leaves. So despite all my reluctance. But he still came to heaven with Yeshi. Exploring the world, starting from the discovery of the white bone dragon pond. Author, Xuanhuan Hai. Chapter 407. The majestic heavenly palace is suspended in the heaven and earth, little diorhymes circulate on the heavenly palace, and countless phantoms appear near the heavenly palace. And it's not just a heavenly palace, there is another layer of heaven above the heavenly palace, which looks like it is about to manifest into the 33rd heaven. Thousands of auspicious colors hang down from each level of the heavenly palace, purple clouds fill the sky, and the universe and galaxies also surround the heavenly palace. The vast fairy court appeared in front of everyone. It's like the last veil has been lifted. The fairy clouds are gorgeous, and the sky and the earth are covered with layers of spiritual light, and existences like seeds quickly take root and sprout, and then grow into big trees in the sky. Every big tree in the sky has fairy energy flowing around it. The clouds also changed into random shapes, and the most numerous ones were those of the sky bird that Yeshi once rode on, which made Yeshi feel dazed for a moment. This trance. I saw it. Nantianman. The stream of light shone thousands of times, the fairy lights intertwined, and the powerful auras surged out. Yeshi. Has Nantianman been moved out too? He subconsciously looked for the sword stuck on Nantianman. But he didn't find it. He only saw the perfect Nantianman, which was like a jade without any flaws. He looked at it for a while, but still felt that the Nantianman he saw when he went to Shengsu was more magnificent and more magnificent. It just looked like the Nantianman that had been baptized by years, history, and endless wars. Rather than looking like the exquisite jade in front of me, it looks like it was just pulled out of the construction house. You can't even bring out the Nantianman, how dare you establish the heavenly court? Yeshi murmured to himself in his heart, not optimistic about getting better. I don't need Tongzi to remind me of this. I also saw a wretched look on his face. Can this really succeed in establishing a heavenly palace? If I succeed, none of them will succeed. But who came from this voice? It spread to every corner of the universe at once. His strength seems to be very good. Why did he lose his mind and do this? This is a good time. As the heavens stand, the abyss also revives? Didn't you say that heaven and abyss are still fighting on the battlefield in another dimension? Are they not going to fight now? Ding, it is true that there is still a war going on, but the parties participating in the war are not just abyss and heaven, but also, the person who wants to establish a heaven now is also a person second only to the heavenly king. Yeshi nodded, and there were a lot of discussions in the live broadcast room, especially the people from Baidu who were the most shocked. After all, Nantianman is already a landmark building in Baidu Star. As a result, I was a little surprised to see things from my home appearing on other people's doorsteps. Priest Wicked Taoist, Pandeo hurriedly got out of the ground and took a look. Shengsu is still there, and the Nantianman is still there. Pandeo remembers that the Nantianman of Baidu is the real Nantianman, so the heavenly court should stand. Is this an imitation? Why not come in and move this real Nantianman away? It's not Baidu Lizhija, It's better not to move after all. Yeshen only saw this thing when he came to our Baidu. Announcement bird, maybe they can't move. I remember Baidu, it seems that you can't enter if your strength exceeds a certain level. I don't know if Yeshen can still enter now. The 33rd heaven was quickly built successfully. It has been prepared long ago. And those fairy islands and heavenly palaces also completely refer to the model of the heavenly palace. At this time, the pangolin, who had been silent all this time, said something strange. No, they can't succeed in building a heaven, Yezi. They don't have enough luck to build a heaven. The two words heaven represent not only authority but also personality. They must have great ability, big heart, and great luck. Talents can establish it. Even if you want to become the emperor of heaven, you need to go through hundreds of millions of catastrophes, let alone establishing the heavenly court. It seems like you are looking for death. The pangolin burst into witty remarks. The voice was directly captured by the person in the middle. His eyes looked towards Yeshi. Yeshi frowned at first, then relaxed and looked at the person in the center with a smile. Stop talking, can you just watch quietly? If you want to say anything, go to the live broadcast room and say it. Didn't you see that I didn't even explain it? Those of us who are just here to watch the show shouldn't think so much. As a result, after saying this, he attracted another kind of attention, and Yeshi even heard a laugh. Lao Ye, you also talked about pangolins. Why do I feel that your words are even more excessive? It is indeed true that we are all onlookers and melon eaters. You see Lao Ye standing so far away for the first time to live broadcast, which shows that he does not want to get involved at all. When I heard the pangolin say this, I felt a little bad. I only saw a very great and magnificent feeling. Don't ask me about other things, I am illiterate. Immortal light flows down from the top of the Nantian gate, falling into the clouds to form a series of Milky Ways. Tianhe. Flawless. Not to mention the figures that are gradually appearing, each one is more powerful. The powerful aura can make the galaxy flip, and the universe is instantly in their eyes. These should be the immortals from the former heaven. They came here just to establish the heaven. Yeshi looked at the scene in front of him and silently took a step back. This, I feel worse and worse. Everything here is so perfect. It doesn't feel like heaven, it feels like. Yeshi thought for a moment and did not continue. We agreed not to explain it, but it was explained well, yay. It's forbidden to do so. So nothing will happen, right? Zhang Baron, no, I have no time to take care of this place anymore. Yeshi also knew that the century had reached its most tense period, and no one would pay attention to a little pawn like him, so it didn't look like he had just arrived here quietly. Instead, he introduced the heaven to those watching the live broadcast while chatting with the pangolin. By personality, do you mean that no one has the luck to establish heaven? What if you are lucky enough? I was caught off guard and asked this question. A group of pangolins panicked, shaking their heads like rattles. No, the most important thing is not my good luck, but that my destiny can bear the disaster. My life can only bear good luck, but not disaster. Although I am very lucky and will basically not encounter disasters, once I encounter them, I have no ability to resist. If you want to establish heaven and become the emperor of heaven, the most important thing is that your destiny can bear disasters and survive the disaster without being destroyed. Only then can you ascend to heaven. I remember that cultivation is almost like this. If you want to practice to a powerful level, good luck is important, but more important is life. Everyone around you has died because they couldn't bear the fate. Only you are still alive. Exploring the world, starting from the discovery of the white-bone dragon pond. Author, Xuanhuan Pianhai. Chapter 408. Yeshi didn't react immediately. Mainly because these topics are a bit inappropriate for this pangolin, which has always had good luck. Then he reacted quickly. I understand, What you are talking about is the protagonist's fate. You die wherever you go, everyone around you dies, as long as the protagonist is still alive. You know how to summarize. Indeed, but I feel that this is a bit similar to a person. I don't need to say more about this. People who understand will understand naturally. It's not the fate of the protagonist. There are many kinds of fate for the protagonist. The fate I said is at least the destiny of the Lord. Most people's fates are innate, and some people's fates are evolved. Do you want to tell your fortune? I can tell your fortune for you. Aside from luck, this is the thing I'm best at. The majestic fairy garden is almost complete. Countless fairy boats shining with fairy light were suspended in front of the fairy court, and brilliant light rain fell from the universe. This is the universe celebrating the emergence of fairyland. And the world has become brighter and brighter, the fairy energy rising into the sky is twinkling bit by bit, and almost every ancient road in the starry sky has life walking towards it. Yeshi and Pangolin also had a few rays of fairy light falling on them. These fairy lights were of great use to Yeshi and the others, and he couldn't help but sigh at the generosity of the immortal who established the heaven. This is a world of grace, a blessing to all souls. The way of heaven is to make up for the excess of losses. If you can understand why these immortals do what they do, there will be no chance of becoming immortals in the future. If you want to gain the favor of heaven and earth, gain divine luck, and even merit through this method, it is still not enough. Suddenly it was time for the big bosses to appear again. I carefully handed tea to all the big bosses. It's not that simple. The establishment of heaven cannot be achieved overnight or in one place. The so-called clumsiest means are the most virtuous means, and using this kind of, later small ways to make up for it is nothing more than that. While Yeshi was chatting with Pangolin, he took the time to look at the live broadcast room. I saw that many big bosses were exposed, and a lot of incredible information was exposed in an instant, which made Yeshi feel deeply outrageous. Pangolin, what do you think? The pangolin glanced at Yeshi suspiciously. See with your eyes, otherwise what else will you use to see? Oh, you want to ask me what I think of the heaven in front of me, right? To be honest, before this, I couldn't believe that someone could be so brave. Whose immortal or heavenly king is this? Do you dare to establish heaven just by doing this? I'm not good at fighting, but I'm good at vision. My vision has been verified by countless people. But Yeshi didn't talk to him again, and even the fortune-telling thing he had agreed to do had been forgotten. Because Yeshi had already smelled a hint of unknown meaning. As the big guys in the live broadcast room said, it is obvious that heaven cannot be established in this way, so why do these immortals still do this? Turn out to be. It is not enough to send blessings to living beings. They also prepared the next solution. Oh, that's outrageous. Yeshi saw the 6 paths of reincarnation, and hell also appeared in front of Yeshi. These immortals who set up heaven not only intend to send merit, but also intend to eliminate the sins of hell to help heaven and earth. Countless immortals. All come out of hell. They all suffered serious injuries, and some were even mentally unstable. This is an immortal, and the suffering in hell can already shake the immortal's sanity. How terrible this is. Yeshi quickly guessed what he was doing. By the way, I asked about my plug-in. Ding, if the hell is not empty, you will not become an immortal. These immortals are going to endure hardships, and all the immortals are in the same position. They are experiencing extreme hardships at the same time. This is a faster way to experience disasters, but the test of will is extremely great. Almost no immortals or gods can do this. Because these disasters occur at the same time, the already extremely unbearable pain will be magnified tens of millions of times. Even the golden immortal can't do it. You may not be able to survive it. But the existence that I saw in front of you, the host, has survived. It is possible to meet the impossible, and it is liberated from the non-liberal place. This is the seedling of the Emperor of Heaven, Deluo, and the Lord of Heaven. Unless the host summons your future body, it is impossible to defeat the existence in front of you. Please be careful, host. Yeshi listened to the system's words and was silent for a while, then asked. Then do you think he can establish heaven? Ding, I regret to tell the host that this is impossible, because the old heaven has not fallen yet, and the old emperor is still alive, so how can it be possible to establish a new heaven? Although this existence is amazingly talented and beautiful, you can't go against the trend. The most important thing is that the opponent's momentum is stronger than his. Not to mention the host, and the existence of the abyss. Yeshi slowly exhaled. So, did he know he wasn't going to make it, or did he think he was going to make it? Countless energies are gathered at the center of the universe. And the sky and the earth are also trembling, golden lotuses emerge from the ground, sacred flowers are scattered from the sky, and the sacred spring that has dried up in the newly built heaven begins to gurgling. And those ancient trees also began to sprout, giving off new life. So that everything has a life of its own. However, those immortal boats still stopped in place without moving. In the universe, in addition to these things that represent the blessings of heaven and earth, there are other things that are also climbing rapidly. The thick black color wants to swallow everything, and they also swallow the gods that emerge from the heaven and earth. Many seals are broken recklessly. Many beings in the abyss appear in the universe. The universe, which was originally quite peaceful, instantly turned into a battlefield filled with fear. Of course, the establishment of the Heaven Court is the establishment of the Heaven Court. Some civilizations that grew up after the Heaven Court did not have much interest in the Heaven Court, but just used all their strength to resist the invasion of the abyss. In other different dimensions, the existences that exude a terrifying aura looked into the universe one after another, and also watched the Heaven Court that was about to be established and the abyss that had awakened. Are they crazy? But we have been tied up here for too long. You are crazy too. You know clearly that this is impossible. In the dimension covered by the light, the auras of different powerful beings were very excited, the rays of light flowed, and the whole body was filled with mist. At this time, these immortals and gods were all angry. And the underground was also in the most critical state. Yeshi quickly replaced his original body with a clone, and kindly reminded Pangolin that he could come to his world if necessary. After doing that, he continued to look at the already extraordinary and lively universe. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Exploring the world, starting from the discovery of the white bone dragon pond. Author, Xuanhuan Hai. Chapter 409. An overly busy universe is sometimes not a good thing, but a big bad thing. Such bad things include but are not limited to the death of life, the disappearance of civilization, the destruction of planets, and the collapse of galaxies. The breath from the abyss has been very obvious to Yeshi. It was as strong as if it came from behind. Call. Yeshi's clone slowly exhaled, and the pangolin next to him trembled and hugged half of Yeshi's arm. Yezi, what should I do? I'm so scared. Yeshi patted the pangolin. Be confident, you are the 7th Saint Emperor Demon, and this is not your true body, so there is nothing to be afraid of. Besides, you are so lucky. Even if I am afraid, it should be me who is afraid. Many people watching Yeshi's live broadcast couldn't help but want to say something to Yeshi. In such a tense and dangerous environment, why don't you leave it alone? You can also do a duet and a talk show, which is really what you can do. Oh haha, it's true what I said is right, you don't have to worry about anything. As for what you don't have to worry about, just read here. Yes, the people at the scene were less nervous than me watching the live broadcast. It's funny, you guys, you act like it's not like this before. What's new about this? Brother, behind you, there's a big guy coming behind you. Of course Yeshi saw this barrage. Of course he also felt the big guy behind him. In response to this netizen's kind reminder, Yeshi wanted to say that he had felt it a long time ago. And it's not just his position. All directions are surrounded by abyss. Those abyss that have awakened have opened up a series of abyss entrances here without hesitation and consumption of powerful energy. This is because Yeshi was more cautious, so he did not turn the live camera to full view. Otherwise you can see. Outside this area, it was already dark. The infinite darkness swallowed up everything, even the light spots. These abysses are connected together and surround the newly established heaven. Every piece of darkness is covered with darkness like a creeping and viscous liquid. Eyes even appeared on the entrances to some of the more powerful abyss. GGG's laughter seemed to come from people's hearts, and it sounded like a fantasy that was hard to catch. Only Yeshi knew that it was true. This is because there are too many entrances to the abyss here. If it weren't for the newly established heavenly court and those immortals, this area of the universe would have been swallowed into the abyss long ago. Dark and silent. In addition to people related to heaven, some of the people who come here are here to inquire about the situation, or they are just people like Yeshi. They are all trapped in this place at this time. Those who can come here in the first time either have top individual strength or have top civilization power. And now, after the abyss surrounded New Heaven, these lives and civilizations remained motionless and did nothing. Golden Mouse, I finally discovered that my information has not kept up with the development of the times. The version has been updated and iterated for so long, and I am still stuck at the original version. Is there anyone who can explain it to me, one time? I am God, there is no need to explain, because the abyss only targets heaven and the lives related to heaven. The other onlookers, the power of the abyss has not been fully recovered and complete, and there is still a large area fighting. How can it be free to provoke others, those big guys? But Lao Ye, please pay attention. Unnamed, no need to pay attention. If you release the breath of gods, you will be beaten severely by the immortals in heaven. If you release the breath of immortals, you will be beaten severely by the abyss. At this time, you are not as good as immortal. Mixed doubles, right, good guy, I've seen it through. Yeshi smiled and said nothing. He would not tell these netizens that the one he brought here now was his clone. The clone is made of biological composite minerals. It can be said that there is no other aura involved, and it is pure white and flawless. If he doesn't go crazy and jump directly in other people's faces, then no one will take the initiative to target him. Yeshi was right. But he forgot one thing. Biocomposite minerals are very precious, extremely precious. When Yeshi didn't know it yet. He is indeed no longer the enemy of the abyss and heaven. He is just a large moving RMB. It seems to be very valuable, but neither side is willing to take advantage of him. As for the pangolin, the quality of its clone is slightly weaker than that of Yeshi, but it is still a very precious large-scale treasure. It just so happened that both the abyss and the heaven were in short supply of such advanced materials. I couldn't tell you how beautiful I felt when I saw the two shining mines. Yeshiling felt astonished. He seemed to hear the sound of something drooling, and it was right behind him. Suspicious, he boldly turned around and looked. I saw a ball of hair with countless eyes, each eye staring in a different direction, and the most important direction was directly ahead, the new heaven. It turns out I want to eat immortals. You should have told me earlier. The eyes are so sinister that I think these gods in the abyss are going to eat me. Yeshi couldn't help but complained in his heart. At this time, bite. A familiar voice rang. Host, I mean, it's possible, is it possible? The person that people are drooling over is your clone. Tongza needs to emphasize one more point. Almost every one of the ores you encountered during the expedition they are all extremely precious ores in the entire universe. Such precious raw materials will of course be peeped by people. If you still don't understand, Tongza can explain it to you in a simpler way. Whether it is the abyss or the immortal court, both sides are hungry for your body. Yeshi. He looked at the ferry boats surrounding the heaven in front of him. These ferry boats were all crystal clear, radiant, and full of fairy spirit. They were not ordinary things at first glance, and there were many immortals with powerful auras standing on the ferry boats. No, why are you so greedy for me? Where is the pangolin next to me? Ding, I'm also greedy. Ding, I hope the host will be prepared for the clone to fall here. You will gain wisdom every time you suffer. Next time, use a poor material. Such a good material. You didn't collect it, so you don't feel bad, right? Yeshi. He coughed twice, then looked towards the live broadcast room. It seems like the war will start soon. I can imagine how fierce this battle will be. Why don't we place a bet now and see how long I can last? Netizen in the live broadcast room. Exploring the world, starting from the discovery of the white bone dragon pond. Author, Xuanhuan Hai. Chapter 410. How about guessing when I will die? The Prince of Hell will die, but you will not die. This is so offensive you think so? Living King of Hell, no, I don't feel that much offense when I look at you. Yes, she looked at those comments that said you are fooling people and so on, and emphasized once in a serious manner. I'm serious. But soon I couldn't emphasize it anymore. Because the whole world suddenly jumped up and lit up. This almost boundless light suddenly filled the entire live broadcast room, dumbfounding netizens who were fooled by Yeshi's leisurely state and thought it was nothing serious. The light was mixed with an unknown number of colors and lights. At this moment, everyone closed their eyes, and of course Yeshi did the same. The pangolin not only closed its eyes, but also jumped into Yeshi's arms, trembling. Rumble. It was as if the sound of the opening of heaven and earth exploded from the center of the universe. Now everyone is not only blind, but also deaf. Despite such a terrifying environment. But someone still posted a barrage using consciousness codes. This moment makes me feel as if I have returned to the singularity of the universe, the beginning of the universe. If anyone can read this paragraph completely, they will definitely have a lot of insights. Haha, I don't know which idiot upstairs likes to show off, but I watched it completely and gained a lot of insights. If I really do what you said, my ashes will be scattered in every corner of the universe. Tai Shanglajun, and all this is just the beginning. After Yeshi recovered his vision, the first sentence he saw was Lao Jun's words. He couldn't help but frown. Then he realized something seemed to jump up in his arms. When I looked down, I saw that it was a pangolin that had shrunk into a ball. Yeshi clicked his tongue, picked it up in disgust, and put it next to his legs. When did you jump up? Don't jump next time. The pangolin's entire body was already trembling extremely, and some parts were even seeping out with juice exuding fairy energy. When he smelled the leaves, he wanted to take a bite. He still didn't understand what the pangolin's clone was made of. The smell came out. It's ginseng fruit. This is even more prodigal than him. Ding, host, please recognize the reality clearly. No one is more prodigal than you. Yeshidang didn't hear this. Just look forward. Inch by inch, golden light tore the void apart. There are immortals everywhere in the sky and on the earth, and with their hands and feet, there is powerful energy, which is extremely gorgeous. And countless immortal treasures are flying in the universe, and the colorful changes in the new heaven are giving birth to a power that can change the world. These are the immortals of the new heavenly court protecting their heavenly emperor, but they don't know whether they can truly attain the heavenly emperor's path and fruit. The universe is overflowing with light, divine glory, and the extremely bright fairy magic rushes toward the entrances of the abyss with the intention of destroying all realms. And the abyss is not willing to give in too much. Climbing out of the entrance were many beings that would cause pollution and roar upon sight. Each of them looked completely inhuman, extremely terrifying and indescribable, with chaotic eyes. Some of them didn't even wake up to their sanity, and just fought according to instinct. Brutal murderous intent spread from the top to the ground. All the nearby stars were crushed into pieces, not even the powder was left. In the eyes of ordinary people, this scene is nothing compared to the end of the world. Even the most generous netizens remain silent. This feeling of facing the battle between the immortal and the abyss is so terrifying. Whether it's the supreme majesty or the boundless trembling, it makes people extremely frightened. And when the leaves are coming. Yashi exhaled a breath of turbid air. My cultivation is still not enough. He discovered that in the battlefield he was looking at, although he could see flashes of light and overwhelming oceans pouring in, he could even see the penetration of another latitude. But these are just some of the battlefields. A more top-notch battle. Yashi could only see the energy that was faster than light and could not be captured with the sight of his eyes. He couldn't see the fighting postures and movements at all, and he couldn't even see the spells clearly. He could only see the brilliant energy that was almost exploding. Bang bang bang. Every corner of the universe is making heart-stopping sounds. Many beings on the planet were completely dizzy when they heard it, then fell unconscious, and then completely lost their lives in their sleep. Planets that gave birth to life and civilization exploded one by one, and rain of blood fell from the sky. There are also those weird sounds that make people distorted when they hear them. They are as harsh as nails scratching the glass, and then the glass is completely shattered with a scraping sound. There are countless eyeballs wrapped in the black hair. Every blink of an eyeball is like a fairy treasure losing all its power. There are countless monsters crawling out of the abyss. Some are so weak that they can be crushed to death with one finger, while some have swollen bodies that want to destroy the entire universe. From the center of the universe to the edge of the universe. The boundaries of latitude have even begun to blur. There are still roaring battles at different latitudes. There is no place in the entire universe that is without mourning. Originally, the heaven was supposed to be established to establish order and establish a heart for the world. However, now, it has turned into a series of massacres. A terrifying demon shadow that crawled out of the abyss stood at the entrance of the abyss, watching everything happening in front of him, and sneered. He casually stretched out his hand and grabbed thousands of immortal boats, then opened his mouth to reveal his fangs and teeth, and swallowed all these things with a crunch. This competition to establish the heavenly court is becoming more and more confusing. If we continue like this, let alone successfully establishing the heavenly court and obtaining the position of heavenly emperor, even our lives may not be saved. Yashi stood there and talked to himself, while the pangolin next to him quietly stretched out his chubby palm, revealing a gap between his fingers, secretly peeking at the battle in front of him. Tongzi, what do you think? Ding, host, hello. I must emphasize that for all cultivation levels, the further you go, the greater the difference in each step. For example, if you open the 9 gods to become an immortal, the difficulty of opening the 9th god is more difficult than the difficulty of opening the previous 8 gods combined. The absolute strong will bring absolute suppression. The heavenly court is waiting for the great man who can achieve the status of the heavenly emperor. As long as she can succeed, all this is not a problem. Didn't you say that the heavenly court is not dead yet, and it seems to have appeared in my live broadcast room, so how can it achieve the status of the heavenly emperor? In a dream? Can different latitudes or universes certify different people? Ding, hello, no, she doesn't have to succeed, she just needs to cross and approach. Yashi was about to continue asking, but the accident happened.